companies are more aware of issues around governance, corporate citizenship, ethics, and they are redefining their whole understanding of sustainability and the way they communicate such.
We also talk about the interrelatedness of rights and its indivisibility. It means that one right affects the other, and you cannot totally just remove it. So we talk about, if people talk about issues of health or food or housing, and then you say, no, it's not as important as the right to life. It affects the right to life.
We are all aware of the role that the Corporate Sustainable Investor Report, CSIR, has played since its inception, being the first of its kind and the only comprehensive report on corporate sustainability in Nigeria. As a ministry, we are very proud to collaborate with an organization of this caliber and promote the adoption of sustainable and ethical business practices.
All right, for more on this story, we're joined by the Chief Executive Officer of CSR-in-Action, Bekeme Masade-Olowola. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight.
Thank you for having me.
First, help us understand how this report, in helping businesses, investors, and everyday Nigerians.
Okay, so the thing is, we constantly have conversations around businesses making profit. In the past, it was all about, the business is there just to make profit. But with time, we've come to realize that it's a lot more than that. Businesses have impacts. They have positive impacts, but they also have many negative impacts. We were listening to the discussion, the story that you were talking about, Mele Kyari and the refinery being built in Kaduna just now. And all I was thinking is my favorite quote for the past couple of years, which is a quote from the survey by Goldman Sachs that says that about 73% of delays in the extractive sector is actually caused by non-technical issues such as community resistance. So it means that when people, no matter what you're doing, if you say, I'm building infrastructure and it has negative impacts on people who live in that community, if it's negatively perceived by the people who work for you.
And there is no buy-in?
There's no buy-in.
Okay.
So obviously there's an issue with that. And that's why we actually came up with this report, the CSIR report, because we wanted to showcase data about what businesses are doing. I'm on the board of the Global Reporting Initiative, and we are a standard-setting organization. It's based in Amsterdam. It's multi-stakeholder developed. And, one of the key focus areas for us is about balance. So it's not about businesses always saying, I'm doing well, is, are you looking at the other side? Are you looking at how you may be negatively impacting?
I have to interrupt you.
Yes.
Because we don't have all the time in the world.
I'm sure you don't.
All right, so let's talk about the key performance indices, which you
Yes.
listed. You've listed human rights and decent labor as important to good business practice. Why are you choosing to emphasize this particular point?
Okay, so we've had a lot of human rights challenges, not just in Nigeria, but globally. You've heard, I'm sure, about the Black Lives Matter protests. Women issues are at the forefront. We ourselves pursue rights of women in rural extractive communities in particular, because they're not involved in decision making. And it's not limited to that. And so basically we want to show how this impacts on our development, because it does impact on our development. And a society that's not inclusive will not reach its full potential. And I think that this is the time for us to point out how businesses interact with human rights. Businesses don't seem to understand it, but this will show how their work actually interacts with business,
it would
with
be
human
nice
rights.
if we can hear that, you can actually tell us in 30 seconds. But also, alongside that, you talk about the need for Nigerian companies to become global players.
Yes.
Exactly how can that be realized?
Okay, so when you are a business anywhere in the world and you want international funding, all of the big institutions actually look at certain indices. They want to see that you're a responsible business, that you're ethical in the way that you do business and all of that. And so these indices actually help them to see how these businesses are the kind of businesses that they may want to invest in or that they may want in their country. So some businesses already measure themselves against some of these things, but we have come up with a standardized framework for measuring these businesses. So you pick it up, anybody picks it up, and they can assess the true health of the business beyond its financial.
Tell us a bit about what those indices
your business
are.
Along those lines.
We'd like to hear those specifics.
Okay, so we've looked at ethical economics, right? So the way that you do business, what is your governance structure? How is your decision making made? We've looked at innovation and, you know, the both the benefit and the impacts of innovation. We've looked at environmental sustainability. We've looked at sustainability management. We've looked, as you pointed out earlier, at human rights and decent labor. And then we've looked at inclusion. So there's 6.
We're going to leave it there. Thank
Yes.
you so much for being on the program.